What's up, everyone? My name is Kendall Key, and I am the creator of the Recovery Meth podcast. This podcast was created to share my journey of recovery, faith, and life with all of y'all that will listen in hopes to inspire and entice some self-reflection. All right, so let's get started. Let me go ahead and start out with some updates about what's been going on, just because, it has been, I think, 2 weeks since my last episode, but with good reason. A lot has been moving around again, and literally I have been moving around as well. So I actually ended my, my lease with the apartment that I had for the past 2.5 years. And that's crazy to me. Like, it truly is, because this is a place that I have called home for the past 2 years, and this is the first lease that I have completed in my entire life. Like, literally the first completed lease that I have finished out. Even I renewed it, and I renewed it again. Like, it's just crazy, because it's like, damn, I called this place home for so long, and I moved into a house now. So, and it kind of happened suddenly. Like, everything just happened quickly. It was towards the end of the month, and I'm like, all right, am I really gonna make this move? If so, I better do it now. Spoke to my landlord, and I'm like, all right, how do we do this legally? Because you know what, I've broken one too many leases in my life already, and it's like, I want to do it up right, because I am on a different path. I'm on a different trajectory right now, so I want to keep that going. So yeah, I started moving slowly, and all I gotta say is, it is such a blessing to be able to say, you know what, I've completed my lease twice. I legally ended my lease, and now I have a new beginning. It's a new beginning in a new home, and I'm very blessed and very fortunate to have made this change. It's a little further on the outskirts, but hey, it comes with its benefits. So yeah, so I had a lot going on, just making the move and all of that, and I am very happy with that. Again, this is a huge blessing, because I give all glory and praise to God for allowing this opportunity to have been placed in front of me. And not only that, but I also got to give it up to my recovery, my sobriety, because there's no way in hell that I would have been able to have completed a lease if I wasn't clean and sober. Like, that has a lot to do with all the changes that have been happening in my life. Is I have to give it up, just because it's like, I'm clean and I'm sober, and there's so many doors that have been opening, and it has just been amazing. Like, this past couple of days, I actually had an opportunity to go out to Chicago, Illinois. Like, it was crazy. Like, oh my gosh, like, I'm just so fortunate and so blessed. So we have an individual who is getting services in our program. And again, I work at a company called Blue Sage. We are a Native American owned and operated behavioral health service that services the Native American population. So we had an individual that came in from Wisconsin, and, doing great in our program, making changes, all that good stuff. But he had to go back because he has court, and it was his sentencing. So I was fortunate enough that, my company paid for me to go out and speak on his behalf, but also, introduce our program to the judicial system out there in Wisconsin. So it was crazy. Like, I enjoyed my time. Like, it was so dope just to be able to get out of the office for a couple of days and just at the whole different city, a whole different setting. Like, I've never been to Chicago, but everything happened quick. Like, I landed in Chicago, and I had to get to Madison, Wisconsin. So, I didn't get a chance to sightsee or even try a deep dish pizza. So kind of disappointed in that, but hey, it was all gravy. Like, we went out there, we had a good time, got some good food, some good dinner, some good people, some good company. Like, it was just awesome. And I'm very fortunate and I'm very blessed that, I work for a company that actually does genuinely care about the individuals that we serve. Notice that I said that, the individuals that we serve. It's not the other way around. I was talking to a lady on a plane and she was talking like, wait, we have behavioral health that do that? She's like, I've never heard of a company doing that. And I'm like, exactly. That's what separates Blue Sage from any other organization out there. We genuinely do care, and we do things out of the ordinary. Like, in all honesty, I don't know of any other behavioral health organization that would actually go that extra mile, literally a couple thousand miles, to go speak on behalf of somebody that's in our program. That's unheard of. But, Blue Sage allowed it to happen. And, good news, my boy, he did not get sentenced to jail time, but rather, I pointed out to the court that, if you guys want him to do jail time, why not sentence him to complete, 6 months to a year in our program? Why are you going to disrupt his recovery? Why are you going to disrupt the path that he is on right now by placing him behind bars? He's doing great. Like, we have a program that offers so much. We have a workforce program to help acclimate him back into independence. We can set him up with a job, get him established. We'll do our best to get him on the right path. And, so far he's been putting in the work. Like, how and why would you want to disrupt that? And, I pointed out, like, what our program offers and all the services that we're able to provide. And, I know something sparked in them because they said, yes, let's go that route. So, it was a win. It was awesome. But, I had to leave right after court, literally catch a bus all the way back to Chicago, straight to the airport, made it in time with like 15 minutes to spare before we started boarding, got on, flew back, and I got back into the city of Phoenix maybe around 7 p.m. I still made it to the gym because I don't know if y'all know, but I entered in this 6-week tone-up challenge. And, I heard about it on Facebook and it's happening in downtown Phoenix. So I was like, you know what? Hey, let me do this for myself. Let me try it out. So I went there, got some information, and I signed up that same day. But it's $600 to put up front. It was $600, and the challenge is I have to, complete, 3 live sessions with a personal trainer. I have a meal plan that they provide, and it only allots me 1,500 calories. It was kind of designed for me based on my body composition. So that's what they gave me. I have an app to track all my workouts. When I'm not with the personal trainer, I have to do my own workouts, which is awesome because, I have been going to the gym steadily before that. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I got this. And I've been sticking to it. And, I'm seeing changes in my body that I am totally digging. And I'm just like, all right, like this is working. But I did a body scan 2 weeks ago, and the challenge is I have to lose 20 pounds or 5% body fat. And let me tell you, in 2 weeks, I lost to 6% body fat. So I'm like, I know I'm on the right path. I know I'm doing it up right, but there was that thought, that stinking thinking that kind of crept in and was like, hey, you know what? You're already gonna get your $600 back. Why not cheat a little? Why not indulge in some of the good stuff? Go hit up a buffet, McDonald's, whatever. And for those of y'all that know me on a personal level, my favorite thing is ice cream and cheesecake. And I'm like, go treat yourself to some ice cream right now. But I have to combat that. Like, I have to reinforce, my journey in this 6-week tone-up challenge is not done. So I gotta keep putting in the work. And for me, it's just overcoming that stinking thinking. I reaffirm myself. when those thoughts, whether it be about food, about, hey, take today off, you're pushing yourself, etc., etc., or even, negative thinking about my day, something's going wrong, my workload is a little bit too much, and those negative thoughts, come in, or I have a complaint, I try my best to reaffirm myself, switch up my thinking. And this has helped me in so many situations. Like, instead of talking down and, instead of talking down to myself and plaguing with those negative thoughts, why not reaffirm myself and remind myself that, I'm a child of God. I am strong. I am confident. I am bold. I can handle anything that comes my way because I have already been through so much. Like, this ain't nothing. No matter what the situations may come or whatever the thoughts may be, I try to switch it up. I try to switch it up as best as I can. And I'm going to tell you that it does take practice. It takes a lot of practice. I have those moments when I find myself kind of tripping out on the past, the coulda, woulda, shouldas, what could have been, etc. And, that's a place where I find myself at moments. I don't know if I find comfort there or if it's called daydreaming, what it is, but sometimes I'll get stuck there. Or sometimes, I'll future trip. Like, I'll get stuck and I'm thinking like, oh, okay, I gotta get this done. I gotta get that done. How am I gonna do this? Okay, if I go to Wisconsin, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna say in front of the judge, etc., etc.? I'm making a move. How is my life gonna be if I live out there? If I move, just so much. And it causes all that anxiety and that uncomfortability. So what I do is I do my best to pull myself back into the present, pull myself back into the now. And again, that's me reaffirming myself. So when I find myself kind of getting stuck in the past or jumping into the future, like, I just tell myself, like, what thought will come next? And for me, what that does is it switches up my mind. Like, just knowing, like, I guess the best way to say it would be is, I tell my mind, like, I know you're thinking too much right now. Like, what thought will come next? And then my mind just kind of pauses right there. And then in that little moment of clarity, I'm back in the present. And I tell myself, I am a child of God. I am strong. I am confident. I am bold. I can handle any situation that will come my way. Come whatever may, I can get through it. And again, that pulls me back into the present because, I ain't got no business back in the past, and I ain't got no business in the future because I don't know what that's going to look like. So, all I can do is just control how I react in the present. I'm either going to be proactive or reactive, and I'd rather be proactive. That meaning, like, hey, if I'm driving down the freeway and I get a flat tire, I want to be able to just pull off. Luckily, I know how to change a tire, switch it up, and get going instead of being reactive where I'm pulled off and I'm complaining about, oh, this is this person's fault. It's because of this. The city needs to clean the freeway, etc., etc. Like, no, there's a difference between reactive and proactive. And I want to be the type of individual that is proactive. I want to be proactive in the present. I want to be proactive in my life. And I feel like I have been doing my best to be proactive. I'm making changes in my life. I'm making changes in my life that I want to see. And it all started off with getting clean and sober. And for me, the way I got clean and sober was, for those of y'all that don't know my story or have not heard my story, but I got into recovery on August 26, 2019. I was heavy in my meth usage during this time, and literally both feet were swollen, and I'm talking swollen, and they looked like huge stuffed animals down there. Like, I had never seen my feet nor my ankles like that huge. Like, they couldn't fit inside a shoe. Like, they were just so huge. And of course, me being the tweaker that I was, like, I still kept moving. I still kept moving to go pick up my drugs, to go walk around because I couldn't sit still. And what what was trippy about that, or funny I should say, is that I found some crutches in an alleyway and I was using those. Like, who does that? Oh yes, I did that. But come to find that I had heart failure. Because of all the meth that I was consuming. And again, I was very heavy in my meth usage during that time. So my heart actually failed and started to not be strong enough to pump fluid through my body, which is why all the fluid went down to my feet and stayed there. So come to find, I get to a hospital and they tell me that, my heart is working at 20% of what it should be. And I'm 29 at the time. And I just remember being attached to all these machines, they stuck all these things all over my body. And the nurse that was working on me, she was getting mad at me. And I was just like, I'm tired. Like, I want to go to sleep. She's like, no, you stay up. Like, how could you let this happen to yourself? You're so young. And I didn't grasp it. Like, I was just like, whoa, okay. Like, I just lay there and I'm like, so I can't go to sleep. But anyways, they did what they had to do. And I ended up falling asleep. I woke up upstairs in a room, and I remember the doctor coming in and just kind of telling me, all right, Mr. Key, you got two options. One, you can continue your meth usage and you're going to be dead in less than 30 days. Or you can stop right now and prevent any further damage from happening to your heart. And he walks out. One thing that I thought about during that time was just, man, this is all my fault. Like, I did this to myself. I'm the reason why I'm in this hospital bed. I'm the reason why my heart is pretty messed up right now. I'm the reason why all of this is happening. It's nobody else. It ain't my drug dealer's fault. It ain't, my mama's fault. It's nobody's fault but my own. And I just sat there and, I'll admit it, I was scared. Because, as much as I would like to say I was a badass during my addiction, I did not want to die. I honestly did not want to die. And that was where my mind went. So I did the first thing that came to mind. I apologized to myself. I owned up to everything. I accepted that I was the reason why I was there. I was the reason. I did this to myself. Kendall, like, you did this to yourself. You're the reason why that your heart is failed. You took all the drugs. You started drinking. You made all the choices. And once I forgave myself, I prayed. I didn't know how. I didn't know exactly what that would look like, but I started out with, Dear God, I apologize for everything that I have done to this vessel that you have blessed me with. I said, I apologize for destroying it and just allowing all of this to happen to it. I apologize for all the drugs that I've let into my body, all the people that I've allowed into my body, all the things I've done with my body. Like, I apologize about that. And I remember, the tears just started flowing, and I oddly got this sense of comfort. Like, I got this comfort that just settled within myself, within my soul. And at that moment, I just absolutely knew that everything was going to be okay. There was no doubt about that in my mind. And maybe a day or two later, my drug dealer's wife actually visited me in the hospital. And she was the only person to do so. She comes in and starts telling me about how she's been clean for over a year, and I need to look into getting clean. Like, I need to get clean. She's like, you can't go back out in the streets, not like this. And she started making all these phone calls talking about, okay, yeah, he's American Indian, this is the insurance that he has, etc., etc. No place wanted me. No place accepted the insurance that I had. So she called somebody at CPS and they hooked her up with a guy named Philip. Who knew Kevin. Now, Kevin at the time was working at behavioral health. He got in touch with me, told me, we can go ahead and get you into residential treatment. And I'm like, all right, just so that way my drug dealer's wife would leave me alone. Like, yes, I'll go. So, I had no intention in going. I really didn't. But maybe 2 days later, I get a text from a lady named Kat. And she's like, where are you at? I'm going to go and pick you up. And I was like, oh, dang, like, okay. So I gave the address, and sure enough, within half an hour, she was outside, and I almost didn't go. I seriously wanted to turn my phone off. Like, I really did. But I had no other choice. Like, my back was up against the wall. I was in a corner, and it just came down to, you know what? I really do need to do this for myself. I need to do this for myself because I don't want to die. Like, I left the hospital attached to a defibrillator just to make sure that I didn't go into a lethal rhythm or my heart didn't stop. Should I go into a lethal rhythm or should my heart stop, this defibrillator would shock me back to life. Essentially, that is what they told me. Did it ever get there? No, it didn't. Glory to God for that. But I entered residential treatment. And again, I was just going through the motion. And, I remember my first AA or NA meeting. It was at a place called Recovery and Beyond in Mesa, Arizona. And I'm sitting there listening to these people open up about, their problems, their drug usage, their background. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, like, I ain't that bad. I'm not as bad as them. Those were like literally my thoughts. I was being judgmental, and I was just kind of sitting there closed-minded, and my defibrillator went off saying battery low, and it started beeping, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I don't know how this machine works because it's day one with it, and I'm trying to push all these buttons. And that was like a wake-up call for me. It's like, how can I say I'm not as bad as the individuals that were in that room at that moment when I was the only one with the defibrillator in that room at that moment? And after that, things just kind of stuck. I started opening up. I started sharing during meetings. And next thing you know, I was definite. Like, I had that definitive, I'm doing this for me. Like, 30 days turned into 90 days. 90 days turned into 6 months. And, 8 months into it, I get my apartment. And, I am just so fortunate, so blessed. And, I entered that apartment, with nothing but a bed. Luckily, the company I was working for bought me a bed, hooked me up with the deposit that I needed. They said, you know what, you come up with this much and then we'll pay the rest. So that pushed me to save. And manage the money that I was getting. And, we made it happen. I call that place home for the past 2.5 years. And it is so crazy, just to have been able to been like, you know what, it's time for me to move on. Like, this apartment has served its purpose. And yeah, it was a huge blessing. It's been a huge blessing, just to have a place that I could call my own. And again, this is only because I chose to get clean, and I'm still choosing to live a life clean and sober. But most of all, I'm choosing a life to walk with Jesus, to walk with God. For those of y'all that are into the 12-step program, I chose a life with my higher power. And, it has just been an amazing journey. Life is just absolutely beautiful, regardless of, the heartbreaks that happen, the pains that happen, the emotional damages, the trauma that is still within myself that, I'm letting out. Despite all of that, it's amazing that I still take moments, and I still have those moments of clarity to pause and see how beautiful life is. Because truth be told, anytime I wake up in the morning clean and sober, I am blessed. Regardless, anytime I wake up in the morning, I am blessed. I'm very fortunate that I am able to get out of bed, that I don't have a pacemaker, let alone I'm not attached to that defibrillator anymore. I have so many blessings and so many things to be thankful for. And, I remind myself of that. That is another way that I pull myself out from the negative, the stinking thinking, from the past or the future tripping. It's just, I remind myself, I practice that gratitude, just switching up my thoughts, switching up my thinking. And, for me, it helps. Having that attitude of gratitude has just gotten me through so many situations, pulled me out of so many future trips or past thoughts. And, so I encourage you, if you find yourself in the past or tripping out about the future, try switching up your thinking. Switch it up, because once you have that attitude of gratitude, I guarantee that it will pull you back into the now, because you have so many blessings. You are so blessed in so many ways. Sometimes you get so caught up, you're so busy that you forget to pause, and you forget to notice how blessed you truly are, regardless of your situation, regardless of what's going on in your life. Take a moment, pause, and count your blessings, because they're there. You don't want to look back and realize that you missed them all. I think that would be the worst. But yeah, in the next episode, I want to talk about finding self-worth. So, think about self-worth, because I want to talk about that next week, all right? What does self-worth look like to you? And do you need to switch up your thinking if you find yourself in the past or the future? And how do you do that? What are some ways that you pull yourself back into the present moment? I just want to say thank you for joining me. Again, my name is Kendall Key. This is the Recovery Meth Podcast. Deuces.